crying little.
Yoga.
Some police officers in Texas. Atatiana Jefferson, who you see here, was shot inside her own home over the weekend. A cop was there to do a welfare check, and then this happened. Take a look.
Put your hands up. Show me your hands.
Yeah, before he even finished that sentence. And I want you to listen to what her neighbor said about the call and why he called the police.
I called my police department for a welfare check. No domestic violence, no arguing, nothing that they should have been concerned with as far as them coming with guns drawn to my neighbor's house.
So Atatiana was a 28-year-old pre-med student. She was playing video games with her 8-year-old nephew who saw her shot and killed. He said, "Show me your," and then the gun went in the middle of the sentence. Does this make you think about ever calling the police ever again? And know that the neighbor called a non-emergency number.
And I think he shot in 2 seconds, which is the really scary part. And I hate that the police are showing that there was a gun in the home and releasing those pictures, because there's nothing nefarious or illegal about owning a gun, especially in Texas. And so this, to me, just looks like, at the very least, an indictment, if not a murder charge. Like, watching this young girl, she's a grad student, an 8-year-old.
I know.
Do we have any tissues up here? And I know how you feel right now, because honestly, I'm angry right now, and I know, Al, you're our voice of reason, and so I'm not gonna come off. I'm not gonna come off as that guy right now. I promise you that. But what we're seeing right now is we're watching the path go towards a Bible and a hug.
And her dad said he doesn't want to hug. Her dad said, "Don't hug me."
Yeah, the father has come out and spoken and said, "This is absolutely senseless."
You know what I mean by Bible and the hug? Because that's what Amber Geiger got the other day when she was sentenced. She got the Bible and the hug, because you're seeing unedited, heavily unedited body cam video. You're seeing them release saying that he thought that she was a perceived threat, even though he did knock on the door and announce himself.
Lindsey, I just have to ask what's going through your mind right now. I just want to be honest, because obviously you're feeling things. Just how are you feeling right now?
I'm just scared that you cannot be in your own home anymore. So it's different if your body is perceived as a threat as an African-American existing here, but the fact that 2 people in the last month or 2 months were killed in their home in Texas is scary. Like, I just don't, like, we already have a problem with the police, and so to know that you can't even call them without getting killed. This is a welfare check this man called. Yeah. Just because our door was open, they didn't even bother knocking on the door. They went around back. Imagine if you hear somebody in your backyard walking around.
And they didn't announce as a police officer. Again, this came from the police chief. Al, how are you kind of handling all this?
I'm not surprised. I mean, Lindsey, we've been doing this a long time, and we're just so happy you're on the team, but unfortunately, you'll be tempered in steel. And you see how Brandon and I, we cover the story every week, and this is why when we see the barbecue Beckys and the coupon Carls, and it's kind of funny because we give them these names. What are they always threatening to do? They're always saying, "I'm calling the cops. I'm calling the cops." You don't see that when 2 sorority girls are having an argument at a university. Well, why do the people always threaten to call the cops when it's a black person? Because they know when the cops show up, if somebody's going to be dead, it's a black person. The person making the call knows that, and the person that's having the cops called on them knows that. But again, it's the dog whistles that we use. So you can just say, "Hey, I'm for law and order." All these dog whistles that we hear all the time. We know what this is. We know what the cops' job is. They are an extermination force for black people. That's what they do. We've not seen any young white women be accidentally shot. I haven't seen it. When have we covered that story? I've been here every day for 2.5 years.
Let's bring up both John's picture as well. Just this happened weeks ago. I just want to remember. Oh, they don't have it. Okay, sorry. Yeah, this is both happening in Texas, and something's going on.
Didn't the gun thing remind you of the marijuana thing in Botham Jean system?
The scariest
thing, the immediacy of that.
Even this reminds me too, scarier of the Mike Brown incident. whether that young man robbed a store or not has nothing to do with the fact that he was pulled over randomly, or he's walking down the street and the cops pulled him and shot him up to at the car. Yeah, it's like there's so many instances, and so I just know how this is going to play out. And so I'm just getting disheartened to watch her dad say, my daughter who's 28 years, her dad was crying.
You, Lindsay. I mean, like we talk about this stuff with the cops, but I mean, the die was cast with Trayvon Martin. Trayvon Martin was killed by just a random dude.
Yep.
Like a random dude. He wasn't deputized. The cops told him not to follow. He followed. He got into an altercation, lost, killed the young man.
He got away.
And he walked away and then sold the gun on eBay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's still alive and free and watching DBL right now. So I think they're letting you know. So I don't know why people are upset.
Well, we have a lot of different emotions here. It's Lindsay obviously really feeling it. I know Brandon is probably really angry is what
Give
you're
her a
feeling.
year.
And
Bible
you're
and
feeling
a hug.
very numb. And I want to know what the DBL Nation feels. Kevin Ang wrote in and says, that is so sad. The officer should be charged with murder. Right now, he's on administrative leave.
I wanted to show this video because I saw this video when I was looking for different videos pertaining to Atatiana Jefferson, and I came across this, and it was really disheartening to watch the exchange between this host and the black male host with the glasses, dark-skinned guy. I understand that he's numb to it and he's used to it, but this is something that I don't understand. She's a female, and then you know how people say, oh, women are emotional and, you know, they go by their feelings. This woman was in pain. She was crying, and I do understand that pain. This was something that I felt on different occasions, and I cried for different families, because one that really hit me was Tamir Rice. I mean, he loves Emmett Till so much that it really hit me hard. Just seeing the police officer, he couldn't even get out of the car. To me, it looked like a drive-by he committed on Tamir Rice. He couldn't even open his door before he shot. The boy had a play gun, a child's toy, and he was in the park running around. Someone called the police, said he had a gun. You know, they didn't even scope out the situation. They didn't hear any gunfire. Nobody was screaming. They just pulled up on this child and shot him dead. And, you know, they try and make these excuses saying our children look older than they are. When you can take a Dylan Roof down who has an automatic weapon, or like I said, I'll keep saying, the grown man with an arsenal in the hotel, just injuring hundreds and shooting so many people. They can take them down, but a situation where nobody's screaming, there's no blood, there's no immediate emergency. All the police officers see is deeply melanated skin, and that's just a card to kill. And like I said, you know, this situation in this video, I'm like, this woman was in pain. He couldn't even comfort this woman. He couldn't understand where she was coming from. She's hurting, and the other man to his right side, she was on the far right side, this host here, and then the other man, this man here, he asked for a tissue for her because he could see that she was in pain. The other host on the other side had no comfort for her, had no kind words for her or anything, and that just took me aback. It struck me hard because I swear, I know this for a fact, had there been a tragedy and that had been a white female sitting there, they would have got her a tissue, one, and then two, one of the men would have been consoling her and rubbing on her back and making her feel like it's going to be okay, and neither one of them did that at all for this. She was told to suck it up, and what are you crying about? Why are you getting emotional? You should know this already. This shouldn't be a shock or anything like that, so you need to toughen up. And that really came across to me, and it really got under my skin, because you hear so much BS about how women need to be feminine, and Black women especially need to be feminine and, need to be womanly. And she was a woman who was in pain, and they couldn't even take the time to comfort that when they would see that in any other woman. And they would be trying to protect her and comfort her and give her solace and let her know that they understand her pain. And this just makes me say, so which one is it? Which one is it? Do you want, Black women to be hard and be like it is what it is and then call them manly? Or do you want them to be feminine and girly? And that can sometimes come with emotions coming out like this. And you can't even be the man you say you are and comfort her as you would if she was a non-Black woman. And that rubbed me the wrong way in this video. What gets me is the female here. Now, she was sitting back comfortably like she was talking about the weather, and it was almost like she made a joke about, kind of makes you not want to call the police, right? She said it like that. And, she's just laid back talking about this topic. A person has lost their lives. I'm sure if this had been a Great Dane that had been shot in the backyard while the police was looking for someone who had robbed a gas station, she would be on tears. Her two Black male co-hosts would be holding her up and picking her up and stroking her hair like the bailiff in Botham Jean's case and keeping her from falling on the pipe. When I see the woman and her emotions, I know where it's coming from, because I am a Black female as well. And I can be Atatiana Jefferson, and that's what the young lady here was feeling too. She can be a Atatiana Jefferson. Many of times I've been in the home by myself with my nephews playing video games in the daytime and at night. And I'm a firm believer in owning a weapon and owning a gun. So if somebody is creeping past, and I've had that where I live, I can see somebody walking behind on my patio, I have every right to defend myself. And I do see the shadow, and it does put me on alert. So that's where this is coming from. We've all had that moment where, maybe we were babysitting and, we had children in the home. We could even be by ourselves. There was another incident where I was walking home from work. I usually did not work at night, but they needed me to take on a shift because somebody didn't show up. So I went ahead and agreed to it. And then a young man was kind enough to walk me to the bus station, because prior there was a male who came out of nowhere, walked up to me and was talking about, did I want to do something sexual over there? And I just took off and went to catch the bus. And the person went the other way. So there were crazies around at night, and they do look for, young girls who are alone. So the young man walked me to the bus stop. I was a teenager at the time, and he sat there with me, but I got off the bus. I did not see this man get off the bus. I don't know where he came from, but I did not have my switchblade with me, which is what I would carry. But I had my keys in my hand, and I was so scared, and it reminded me of the Trayvon Martin situation where there were no street lights. It was nothing but a big open field on one side and a lot of brush and bushes and trees on the other side, and it was dark from the block I had to walk to getting to where I lived. And the man was walking fast and I was walking fast, and it seemed like he was walking faster. I kept looking behind me. I've told this story before, but I got the keys, put the keys between my hand. If something was going to happen, I was going to at least fight. So I slowed down, let him walk past me. He could have still walked ahead of me and then grabbed me even from there, because it was a dark area. But I went around the building where I usually don't go, because I would take the same path, but I kind of went around the path I usually take, and I made it home. And I know that feeling of having someone bigger than you who could overpower you and being nervous and scared. And Trayvon decided to confront the person. Me, I did it a different way. So I understand that fear, and I understand what Trayvon Martin was feeling at that time. And I understand what Atatiana Jefferson was feeling. And then for them to admonish this young woman for having these feelings, it just shows, really you can't even show a little bit of kindness, a little bit of consideration for a Black female who's in pain and hurting, because had she went the other way and was yelling and cussing, I guess she would have been an embarrassment. But I'll go ahead and leave it right here. Let me know what you think about this, and especially the white female on the side. I don't even know why she was in the middle of this conversation, but I'll leave it right here, and I'll see you in the next one.